the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello, this is episode 213 of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Michael Ball. I thought I might be joined by just Malcolm, but as I speak, Martin Fowler is coming in. So we're going to have one of these impromptu kind of things where Martin is going to be joining us mid-conversation. This could be interesting, actually. So it says he's connected to audio. So while he's connected to audio, Malcolm, how are you?
Yeah, good.
What have you been up to since we last talked? We only did a show last week, so it's not been that long, has it?
So since last week, still one more episode of Daredevil. Still liking it, but I'm still annoyed at the fact that we've got yet another series where he's not actually Daredevil. I don't want to see him don the costume in the last episode. I want to see him busting fucking skulls all the way through it, to be fair.
Okay.
Season 3 of the Netflix one was him predominantly not Daredevil for the whole series. We've done that. We've walked that path. We don't need to do it again.
No.
You know?
Okay, fair enough.
And then other than that, I've just been researching my Quest 3 VR headset. So certain games on there to play, but I'm also looking more at the fitness aspect of it as well.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Burn some calories, lose some weight.
Now, Martin's joining us as well. So first of all, Martin, hello. How are you?
Oh, hello.
Hello, sorry, we weren't sure whether you said that you might join us or not. So I think you were.
I just got back.
That's fine. No worries at all. So that's sorry, we didn't mean to start without you, but
no, that's fine.
It's
fine.
At the
How
moment.
Are you, so?
Yeah, we're fine. I was going to say, Malcolm sent me. He was going about that Star Trek VR game that you talked about. What was that one you talked about that you think I should try?
Bridge Crew.
Bridge Crew.
Bridge Crew, yeah.
Because I think my son's. I'm not a gamer, but I'm sure he's got a PlayStation 4 and he's got a VR headset. So I might have to borrow it. I'm not really a gamer, but I like the thing that you sent me with the perspective on the bridge and everything. Looking around, it looked quite interesting. So it looks good.
It's definitely worth it.
Now, before I ask Martin about all your stuff, because you've been doing quite a few things, which I've shared on my channel, a couple of things I want to say before I forget. First of all, I've seen the first 4 episodes of Silo Season 2.
Okay.
And it's okay. It's all right. It's not. I'm not blown away by it, but it's ticking along quite nicely, which I thought was good. And I've seen that film, which is Electric State, which I think I mentioned to you, Malcolm.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's a weird one, this, because have you seen it yet, Malcolm?
No. Now you've just reminded me again. I'll probably watch it tomorrow now.
Okay, because I quite liked it. It's kind of like the YouTubers are sort of on the fence with it, because I think a lot of them are against it simply for the fact that it cost $320 million to make for Netflix, which is an extortionate amount of money. Does it look like it deserves that? But then what I saw on the screen, probably not. But I didn't hate it. So maybe if you two get to see that, we can actually have a discussion about that. And also a few things. Now, April is going to be a great month for us. We've got a lot going on. We have got Black Mirror Season 7. We have got Doctor Who. Okay, that's not very good, but it's on. We have got Andor Season 2. And we've got The Last of Us Season 2. So I am going to be a very, very happy chappy in April, because there's fuck all in March at the moment. I'm getting pissed off, but there's nothing to watch.
I've not watched much past Season 1 of Black Mirror, but it is good. I should really watch
Black Mirror, honestly.
And
it's really
Last
good.
of Us, I'm keen for Last of Us, but the other two.
Did you see the Star Trek spoof on Black Mirror? You must have done the Callisto.
The Star Trek one, yeah. Apparently they're doing a follow-up.
That's what they have season 2. So
oddly enough, I've seen Season 1, about 2 episodes of Season 2. That Star Trek one, from whatever it is, season 5 or something.
I think, yeah,
and I started trying to watch the film where you could choose what happened, but I turned it off because, like, you get 2 choices, you choose one, and then it goes back to the beginning and you have to play again. So I just thought, this is bollocks, and gave up on it.
Okay, fair enough. Season 7 looks like an episode with Peter Capaldi's in one, and he looks quite good in that as well. So, hello, Martin.
Hello.
He's been doing all sorts. He's been. It's kind of like this 70s jive talking Bee Gees thing with this guy with his massive hair walking down the street. He's doing all sorts of things. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, we can do if you want.
Go for it. Go on.
Yeah, it's like a sort of a comedic version of the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm. And it was quite interesting.
It's based on. It's taking the piss out of Andrew Tate type people.
The special effects in your movie are pretty good. I mean, did you do all that? Because there's some quite good psychedelic. What software did you use for all that?
Filmora.
Oh well, you must have a different version from mine, because mine can't do that. You must be getting.
I bought the package of effects.
Oh, okay. Mine's a bit of an older copy or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you're getting good at that because I could do some good stuff as well, but I like some of the swirling effects and all this sort of stuff.
I had to put a lot of that in because she come out of the television. And she's like an entity, you know, and I had to make it a bit because she's like evil but dippy.
Evil. Well, yeah,
And
I mean,
he's like one of them victims in society, and he's pissed, and she makes him an alpha male selling his courses, and he comes to success, and he fucks her off, and she gets her revenge.
because
I've been told I've given new meaning to staying alive.
Yeah, best staying alive rather than staying dead, I guess. I mean, the AI was quite funny doing some of the graphics for the thing.
I loved
it.
Yeah,
they're okay. I mean, it's quite hard to do. It's not always perfect, but you seem to be happy with it, so that's fine.
They were fantastic. They were, honestly. It's
they were right because I rushed them in the end. I said to you, like, I'm going to go out and everything. I just managed to get one done in about 5 minutes. So
they were great. There's been some good reactions to them. So
good, and I
gave you credit.
I did, and I saw it. And I really appreciate that. And I also put a link on my channel. So hopefully you might get a few people your way. So that'd be fantastic.
He's going out to the festivals at the end of this week. So.
All right, keep us advised. That'd be brilliant, mate.
Yeah, we'll do. But no, it took a while, this one. But I had to put a lot of effects in because she's like distorting stuff.
She's distorting time and reality and perception. I know what you do. I've been watching this sort of stuff for a long time, so you know what I mean.
I'm very proud of it. So.
That's good. It's good. I like that. It's creative.
Thank everybody that helped out with it.
I think it's great that you're trying to sort of do different things.
The artwork was very good. Thank you.
No, that's what. It's a pleasure. Brilliant. All right, so we are going to review Outland, which I've just seen. Which I was just saying to Malcolm before you joined us that I don't know if I had seen it. It was a long time ago. But before we go to the focus of the week, is there any science fiction news? Anything you want to share? Malcolm has already been talking about one thing. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, Malcolm, Daredevil. What do you think so far?
I was saying to Michael that season 3 of the Netflix one, we already got him not being Daredevil until the last 2 episodes, and they seem to be doing that again. And it's just like, we've done that. I want to see him Daredevil. I want to see him breaking us. And also the Kingpin, easily one of the greatest characters on TV. And all we see is him in fucking marriage guidance counselling. You know, come on, let's get some damn action in. Let's see them two fighting it out.
Marvel did run the story where the Kingpin became mayor of New York. That's where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And he banned in the comics. He banned all the superheroes in New York.
Which he's going to do in this.
As you do.
That's where they're going.
And also, it doesn't make sense that Frank Castle is now a hitman for the fucking Kingpin. Given his past and what he did and how his family got killed, it makes zero sense that that's what he's doing now. Absolutely none.
Yeah, I can't defend that. You make a very good point. I can't defend it.
But as someone who's not seen it... I mean, I'm listening. I mean, basically, I'm just sort of, listen to what you two are saying and going along with it. And eventually, I will quickly say, I know you two haven't seen it, but I've seen now the second season of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, and I really enjoyed it. And it was very, very good. And do you want to spoil it for the end of season 2, or are you bothered, or what?
Can we assume he stumbles on a group of people who turn out to be like really bad people, even though he thought they were good people, and then he escapes by the neck of his?
They were more
defined. For every other season of Walking Dead.
They were more defined. But the bad people were the bad people, but there was a bit of that. But at the end of the season, do you know where they head at the end? Which part of the world do you think they go to next?
Oh, I did see they go. I want to say France, but I can't remember now. I did read it. They head off somewhere.
Well, spoilers if you don't want to say, but if you two want, I'll tell you anyway. Because I don't think you can see. They headed up the Channel Tunnel. They're up.
Okay.
They're coming to the UK, which is quite cool.
Hey.
So, and they met two sort of divvy Scots as well, who were a bit old, and then they got killed off. And but although I heard differently, I was surprised because I heard they were going to Spain. So why they're going in the opposite direction, I don't know. But at the moment, they're heading towards up the Channel Tunnel.
Technically, I was right. They would have had to go to France first. I was kind of.
Well,
right.
they were in France. They have been in France for the last. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's where the whole series was set. Oh, I get it.
Yeah. And Carol from She Comes in the second season by plane. It's a bit odd. It is odd. I love it. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
I still don't
fucking love it. I love it.
How this many years on, so many people are still alive. I don't get it. Everybody would be dead by now. Everyone who dies becomes one of these walkers. Everyone would be dead. I don't get it. I don't understand how they're still
at this
going.
point. At this point, there are about 14 years since the outbreak, and there are literally you have scenes where you can see literally hundreds of thousands of walkers. There's not that many people alive left now. I will say that there are still groups, but as you say, 14 years on, you would think there'd be nobody left. But it's a TV show, isn't it? It's you got to stretch the imagination a bit and believability. I mean, it is I get what you're saying, but I've always been a big fan of post-apocalyptic shows and TV films.
I bought a bootleg copy of Time Bandits, the series.
Oh, I never saw the series. I saw the movie. Have you seen it yet, or are you going to check it out?
No, I've got Silo 1 and 2 as well.
I didn't know. It's another series that got panned before it even aired. So I don't know. I don't really see where they're going to go with it.
Well,
to be honest,
they were online, so I bought a couple. I thought I'll give them a go. So I went for Silo to throw that in. So I've got 1 and 2.
So does this feature little people like in the original Time Bandits?
I don't know. I've not seen it. I got a Blu-ray copy.
I'm pretty certain it does.
Once I've watched it, I can send it to you.
Because obviously
I'll send it to you if you want it.
The new Snow White is coming out this week, and that is something which is being panned by everybody. And apparently, they originally were going to feature little people, but now it's just CGI characters. And you know how it's funny how, and I'm really trying to say the correct words, not trying to sound like, but obviously having little people, a lot of people in that community were offended that they couldn't have actors of their height being in the new Snow White movie, and they changed to CGI. And it's one of those things where I don't know about Time Bandits, but that did predominantly feature little people in the original movie.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the choice is Silo this weekend or Time Bandits.
Yeah, but I'm watching that. I've watched the first 4 episodes. I want to see the end of it, so maybe we can do a review of the entire show once you've caught up.
But if you want I'm not keeping it. If you want Time Bandits, I'll send it to you.
No, it's all right. I'll be able to probably find it online.
Pretty certain as well that the term you're supposed to use is not little people, it's dwarf. I'm fairly certain.
I thought that was the wrong thing. I seriously
no, midget you don't use.
Well, no,
dwarf,
right.
I believe
Did you ever see Life's Too Short with
yes.
Warwick Davis, right?
Yes.
And the M word that you just said, they're not supposed to say that.
No,
I thought little people was the correct term. So I'm wrong. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I'm really trying to be careful. I don't know. Yeah. I just don't want to appear to.
But I watched something. I don't know if it was a Snow White thing I watched a while ago. But what they've done with that, they'd CGI'd actual actors onto the dwarf characters. It might not have been Snow White, but it was definitely very famous.
Well,
so it was like top billed actors, like proper famous actors.
Yeah,
CGI'd onto dwarf.
Well,
and I remember, I can't remember the film, but that caused a hell of a storm when they did that.
I think that was. I think they
Peter Dinklage said something.
Yeah,
that, and he caused a massive controversy.
But didn't they reshoot Snow White, which originally did have dwarfs, if that's the correct term? And like I said, I'm just trying to say the right thing because this is on YouTube, and I want to make sure that I'm sounding correct. Whatever the correct term for people of that stature, is that fair? Feel free to
correct us in the comments, and we'll take it on board.
I'm not being funny.
No, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to say the right thing.
15 years ago, right? They up north, they used to have dwarf throwing competitions. They did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They did. They used to wear a helmet, and they used to throw them across the field.
Oh, Martin,
which is so kind of mentioned a little bit in Life's Too Short, where he doesn't give them any acting jobs, the people that he's an agent for, but he does root them out for like dwarf bowling and stuff.
Yes,
and that's the only jobs. Any acting jobs he takes himself.
Didn't the ban that? It got banned.
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Well, they used to swing them round. They used to wear a helmet, and they'd go. They were like a competition.
You know what?
I think they do it in America. I've seen videos.
as a YouTuber with nearly 182,000 subscribers, I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I'm drowning in quicksand, and I'm slowing down like this.
We should move on. Move on.
Let's move on.
It's on YouTube.
No, no, but it's just that you have to be careful with what you say.
Well, I don't mean any offence to
I know, and we don't. We are just simply just talking about activities which have happened in the real world, which have got nothing to do with the three of us.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Yes. I've never been to any of these events.
Good. I haven't either. So, please, if anybody's been to any of these events, then please don't put any comments in below, because it's probably.
Anyway, let's move on. This weekend, I was at a dogfighting fucking match.
A dogfighting match. That's all right. You can say that. I love doing this. It's so fun. Yes, well, there we go. So that's an interesting perspective on that and that film and anything else. Anything else before we go into our focus of the week? It might be a short one this week, so we'll just
no, I don't think so.
No.
All right, let's go into it. I think we'll do a 40-minute one this week.
Oh no, going to see that film, Johnny 17 or something.
Yeah.
When he gets 3D printed.
Mickey 17.
That's
Mickey 17. Yeah. I've heard of it. I don't know much about it, but okay, check that out. All right, let's go to our focus of the week, guys. Here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
focus of the week.
All right.
Not putting any dwarfs at the end of the video.
No. We've got it. We started into our topic of the week, but that will not be featured. Believe you me, we're not going to. This is okay. And I don't know what to say after this. We are now doing a film which was made in 1981, and it features Sean Connery, and it is called Outland. Now, first of all, how did this come up that we were going to review this movie? Who was the one that suggested it? Or was it you, Martin?
It was Martin, because we were talking about James Bond.
Yeah, I don't think Malcolm had seen it, and he was going to watch it.
Because I watched it as well. Because Malcolm, I think you said you saw it the other day, and I saw it yesterday. I don't really remember it. Now, let me first of all ask you guys. Now, it is classed as a science fiction film. It's not very sci-fi.
It's probably more science fact. It's very real world, isn't it?
It's like, I mean, first of all, I don't know if YouTube had picked this up, but it had a very alien film about it. It felt like it was from the Alien universe. I don't know why, but when they were in that sort of like not Euro, but IO sort of base, it felt like a very Weyland-Yutani kind of facility where the computers looked similar. Did you two perceive that, or was it just me?
Oh yeah, well they say it's connected to Blade Runner and Alien, yeah.
Oh yeah, because I got it just felt like but it felt like it was linked to Alien for some reason.
Yeah, you see, personally, I kind of love that real world analog
gritty kind of
stuff. I mean, let's face it, the velvet carpets and space magic of Star Trek is unlikely to happen even 200 fucking years from now.
No.
This is more like what being off-world is going to be like. Yes, for all mankind, the bases that we saw in the future, and where this kind of gritty. And I love the opening scenes of Analog, which I'm so glad they did it again in Alien Rogue. That when everything clicks on, it's all very functional. You know, my son bought for his gaming PC. They call it, I think it's a mechanical keyboard, and it's a proper keyboard. You push the buttons, you feel them.
Yeah, you feel the actual. Yes,
you know, it's not like my keyboard, which is just this crappy.
Oh, I can't do with that. Yeah, I've got a proper keyboard.
My son's brilliant. I love that analog thing. So the whole feel of Outland was just real and just authentic, and just, as you say, it didn't seem science fiction. It just seemed plausible.
Yeah, but it could have been based in some corrupt town in America or something. It didn't need to be in space. That was the thing. I thought to myself, well, look, because there's no aliens. I mean, they had this weird drug which people took, which made them work harder for a short term and become more productive. And then the powers that be were getting a way of making more. It's kind of like a financial thing.
I'm not sure where there's anywhere on Earth where you could put somebody in an elevator and they'd explode, though.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Vacuums don't happen. Yeah, that wouldn't happen in America, in Chicago, in a lift or in an elevator or something. No, it wouldn't do that. But then, Apart from them actually having that, there was not much I could think of that would have been different if it had been in an American city or an American corrupt town or something.
No, not really.
So let me ask you, Martin, what is it that you liked about this film? What made you think about reviewing this one?
I agree. I also think there's a bit of Saturn 3 connection to this.
I mixed the two together. Saturn 3 is
same
one
environment.
I felt that as soon as I watched it, I was reminded of Saturn 3.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I like the concepts of there were no like hero type dude. He's a sheriff. He's quite an honest, just a decent person, and he gets sent there to stop, to put law and order in this colony, and the corruption's going all the way up, and they just hire 3 assassins to take him out, and very few people will stand with him, and I think that's the thing, and how he takes them out. I think you can rely. There was nothing heroic. He did what he had to do to survive, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Connery. I mean, you don't normally go wrong with Sean Connery, can you? I mean, if he's, he's such a good actor.
In it.
Jerry Goldsmith did the music, although the music didn't stand out for me compared to a lot of Jerry Goldsmith's work.
No, I wouldn't have thought it was Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, it was him. I saw it in the opening. I was quite surprised about that.
No, I didn't know that.
I mean, it was a good production. I mean, the shots of the Io and Jupiter and the actual colony itself looked interesting. Again, it reminded me of Alien for some reason, or Blade Runner, as you said as well.
I thought from like a sort of normal science fiction. I thought that. Well, I agree. It's not science fiction. It is in it.
Yes, it's sort of that.
But I found Outland definitely stands out as a film.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I mean, maybe I'm so used to watching some terrible killer virus or a xenomorph or something taken over, and it wasn't. It was just this law-abiding sheriff who was in a bad situation where he was told he was going to be killed off, and he had the countdown clock, and it said 50 hours till the shuttle arrives, 40 hours, 30 hours, and then of course he'd separated from his wife and son. Who were going to go back to Earth, and he was going to, and then eventually, in the end, spoilers, he does go back once the bad guys are all killed off.
Well, that's the thing. The clock plays a big part in it.
Yeah,
the clock.
It's a big countdown thing. Yeah,
and how he takes them out because he knows the layout of land, and 1 or 2 people sort of help him a bit, but he's just a normal man. And he does take them out. I mean, and he's scared as well. He's absolutely.
I think that's where the realism is.
I like that. He was really scared.
It's such a strange film, is Outland.
And he was looking at all the cameras, and he was seeing them docking and seeing them coming out.
For me, it could easily make a TV series. Like you could literally, like every episode covers 2, 3, 4 hours of his countdown time. You could definitely. Yeah. You could definitely make a 24 episode season out of that show.
I can see that. I can see that on Netflix or something.
He wasn't like normally you get the hero, don't you? He wasn't super fast with a gun. He wasn't special forces.
No, he wasn't elite. No, he was
he was just the sheriff. That was
it. I like the doctor in it as well. She was great. Wisecrack. I've seen her in something else. The actress. I don't know if I've seen her before, but she was very good. I like the way that the banter between those two was very solid.
What I thought really funny was Stephen Burkoff got really and his screen time is less than 5 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah. He was. I was hoping he's going to be liking it more because I like Steve Burkoff.
He's a great character. Like you can imagine, he was just born to play bad guys. You can imagine if he turns up at like, I'm auditioning for Bond. They're like, no. You're going to be the head inspector. You're definitely the bad guy. There's no way you're James Bond. Sorry, mate. That's never happening.
He's very scary looking, isn't he, Stephen Burkoff? He's terrifying.
I still remember him from Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep,
he was great in that, and he was quite good as the entrepreneur on Deep Space Nine, the one that's trying to ship weapons, and the Ferengi were involved with it and things like that. And I thought he was good. He was in Doctor Who as well.
In UFO, he was in UFO as an interceptor pilot.
Was he? And he was in Doctor Who as well. He was in 11th
yeah.
Doctor episode in heavy makeup, but he never stood out as that because he just looked like a generic alien. But I do like him. I think I think my favorite role with him was Beverly Hills Cop, which I'm a big fan of. I love that film. I think, and he was so good as the bad guy in that. Also, one actor who he's one of those actors that's in a lot of British things, but you never see him stand out as a main character. He was in 2.4 Children as the dad. He was also in The Day of the Triffids, the 81 version. He was the one that the soldiers came on in episode 6, and they wanted to take them to Brighton. And I can't remember his name, but he's an actor you see him in quite a lot of things, and he played a small part in this. So I recognised him. I don't think I recognised any of the other actors particularly in the movie. It was a mixed, some Brits and some Americans. One of the actors was Captain Stiles of the Excelsior from Star Trek 3. I saw him in that as well. He's the one with the beard that got, I think he got in a vacuum and killed off at one point. But I did like it. I mean, I think Jerry Goldsmith's musical score was disappointing. He didn't stand out at all, which is unusual for him. But then, he's had so many hits. He's going to have one or two non-memorable music movies. But yeah, I thought it was good. Like I said, it was more of a science fact or potential future fact movie than a science fiction thing.
I think there's a whole universe there to explore. I think you could go beyond.
Well, maybe you could see more about this drug, how it's kind of threaded through society and in these professional environments. Now people are trying to make money out of it. But then again, you get that in the real world, can't you, with all sorts of things out there. So, but yeah, I think it was a good movie. It looks good, even though it's, as you say, it's quite an old movie now. But it's still, some films you watch and they just really are hard to watch in 2025, and others kind of hold on more. Maybe the gritty look of it made it sort of stand out more. But no, it's a good film. It was a very good film. I'm glad I saw it.
Was it a British production?
I assume it's an Anglo-American, and maybe it's a mixed thing. I don't know. It had elements of both.
Seems very British.
I'd assume it was made in the UK, but maybe
I mean, that sort of period, I think everything was made here, wasn't it? So,
but I think it was made here, but had quite a lot of American dosh pumped into it. That's what I'd imagine. So I suppose, really, any other things before we start going on about our ratings, and would we have it in our collections? Any other things you want to say about it?
Again, in terms of the realism, I quite like that when he finally goes to confront the general manager in the bar at the very end. He doesn't just walk in; he's literally can barely stand at that point.
Because he's been shot.
You don't even know if he's going to make it to him when he kind of stumbles through the bar to get to. All that adds so much realism to these things. It's very good. It's a great film. I'm sure I saw it when I was a kid. I remembered certain things kind of tweaked me, like, oh, maybe I did watch this years ago, but it wasn't something that I remembered watching.
So I enjoyed it. So it's better than you thought it would be. I mean, I suppose it's hard to know definitively until you've even seen it, whether it's going to be good or not. And Martin, how did you first hear about this movie? Is it something you saw at the cinema?
I think I would have seen it. I think I was about 15 at the time. Hang on, about
81,
81, yeah. I know I was too young to go see it at cinema. I think it was an 18.
Maybe it's like a VHS or something you saw.
Yeah, my old man got it out on VHS. I watched it one night. I'd seen the trailers for it, but I watched and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I remember I remember watching it. I was expecting a sci-fi epic, but it wasn't very grounded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which
that's why I always remembered this film.
Yeah. And like you said, because it was very grounded and it had elements of reality in it rather than a super space spaceship on Star Trek or something.
Yeah, this is like the Expanse universe.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I can see the power of the Expanse, definitely. And there's quite a few of these movies that have that, but this is an earlier one to depict that grittiness, which maybe that's what it stood out. I reckon it had some influence from Alien. And I think Blade Runner's made in 82, I think it was. I think Blade Runner was made afterwards. So it could be that Blade Runner might have been influenced partly by this.
The setting, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love the little, I have to agree with Matt, I love the TV monitors. They have these little TVs on the wall and I love all that.
Yeah, reminds you of some of the monitors in space.
It's even like in Alien when they're walking around and there's condensation on the walls. It just makes the plastic wall look fucking metal. It's just better than any kind of paint could. It's just so cleverly done. It's just the realism is phenomenal. You get the impression in Star Trek, if on the Enterprise, even Next Generation, you bump into the wall, you know it's going to wobble and all that. But Alien, you get the impression you walk into the wall, you're going to hurt your head. It's going to bang when you hit it because it just looks so real.
I think it was the same sets that reused for them films.
I can see a parallel.
And all that, yeah.
They look similar.
I mean, there are like control panels from Doctor Who that appeared in Star Wars and stuff. The use of props over and over again. You know, you were just going to a big warehouse. Well, that looks right. I'll make it into this, and all of that went on. So I think it's more likely they did recycle them. The cost of sets and stuff is stupid.
Yeah, and if they've got a big warehouse where they literally just make a movie or a TV show and just put it in there, they can categorize it and sort of like give a brief sort of description of what it is, and then they can reference it, pull it out, and then get a hole in a wall or something, plonk it in, paint around it or something, and that's it. That's a new part of this new sort of like sci-fi setting or something. You know?
Put it in perspective, I might have mentioned this before, but I was listening to the American Office podcast, and they talk in that about the cost of some of the stuff, particularly music. The cost of using music in TV shows is fucking astronomical. To the everybody dance now, $58,000 for the 2-second clip.
Yeah,
Dwight and Andy doing Country Roads. That's about 1 minute 40 seconds, $22,500 just for them to sing it. But the bit I was getting to, there's a bit where one of them throws a pen at Jim that bounces off his head. So they can't use a real pen because it hurts. So they have to have a rubber marker made, a replica rubber marker, $800 to have that one rubber.
Just for that one brief scene.
Wow. Just for that.
Off his head. So you can imagine how much walls and ceilings and lights and computer monitors and flashing, blinking stuff costs. So they must reuse it, or there's no way they build it from the ground up every time.
I'll just quickly say this off topic, but I mean, going back to what you're saying, Malcolm, I mean, like things like Only Fools and Horses, where a lot of the music was changed, for like the Damien scenes. And my copy of Only Fools, the first episode, it had a different theme tune, and the song Money was changed for the DVD release. I managed to find a VHS copy of the old soundtrack, and I remixed the original opening theme tune to the episode and the song for my own copy, my digital copy, and it's so much better. And it's I
think I said to you, there's another scene where it's the one where Slater comes back to Dell's flat, and in the original airing in VHS, Bob Dylan's Mighty Quinn is playing in the background, and they're all singing along to it. And with this, they've edited it, so they've edited the sound out. Yeah. So they've still got the conversation. You can just about hear every time everybody says Mighty Quinn in the background.
Just
but Del, for some reason, is busy doing drums to like no music at all, and it just looks stupid. Then later on in it, when they win the money and they go to see the house, and it's house is it, and all that. The newer versions is sung by a woman. The original, it was an actual.
Yes, it was the actual one. Yeah. I hate that.
Another John Sullivan show, Just Good Friends, did a Christmas special that shows how Penny, I don't know if you ever saw it, but how Penny and Vincent meet at a Christmas party. And
I want to see that.
Again, they don't have any soundtrack. They don't have any rights for the soundtrack. So they've had to, on the DVD, they've had to remove all the soundtrack, which has removed all the dialogue. So that whole entire sort of 15, 20-minute scene is in complete silence with subtitles on what they're saying. It was the only way to get around it when they make the DVD.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
It's very weird.
Well, it's just a shame that we have this, but like I said, it's the way that these things happen sometimes. All right, so to wrap up, then let's rate this film out of 10. Malcolm, what would you give this one out of 10?
I only give it a 9. The storyline isn't like the greatest thing in the world. We've seen it all before, but they went balls out to make it realistic. Like I say, you don't often see Sean Connery scared, or the villain scared, or battered up, and just the realism of the sets and the scenario, and all the supporting cast were good. The Doctor was great. I mean, you can see that even she's sassy and all that, but you can see even she's a bit scared of doing it. She just feels she's doing the right thing and what have you. So I loved it. I'm going to give it a 9. Definitely.
Okay, Martin, what would you give it up?
There were no laser guns in it, real weapons, and I totally agree with Malcolm. I'm going to give this a 9, and yeah, definitely.
Okay, I think I'll give it an 8. I liked it. Maybe not quite as much as you two, but I thought it was a very solid movie. I need to see it again. Sometimes I'm one of those people that tend to give lower ratings and then give a higher rating once I rewatched it. I don't know why. It's very rare for me to come out and watch something and think, yeah, that was brilliant. But I did like it. I thought it was definitely good. But I need to see it again. And so, would you have it in your collections?
Yes.
Definitely, I do.
Definitely.
I do now.
I've got it.
And me too. All right, guys, thank you very much. Let's wrap this one up because we've only got 3 minutes left. Very quickly, we've been using Notebook. What's it called? Notebook L. What's it called? LM.
Notebook LM.
Ray, you should try it, Martin, on some of your old shows. It's amazing. You just upload audio and it will give its own review of your review. And it's we've done a couple, haven't we, Malcolm?
I've been listening.
Honestly, that YouTube video you sent us on Messenger the other day, I'm thinking of downloading that and running that through it to see if we get a deep dive on that episode you sent us, just to see what they come up with.
It's fascinating. It really is. It's amazing. It's just the way that they interact and they kind of interrupt and they giggle and you can even hear them breathing as they're talking. It's really the next level of kind of AI, and it's like two separate AIs who are working it out between them. I don't know how they do all this stuff.
But every now and again you get a third one chime in.
Yeah,
like
I thought
a producer sat in the background that just suddenly pipes up.
I thought that was her voice though, but it's just her voice is slightly off. Is it a different person?
Yeah. It sounds like a different person. I've had that
it was the same
3
one.
times.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was interesting. All right, guys. So I know Martin's quite busy. So Martin, if you're a bit busy, shall Malcolm and I review An American Wealth in London if you're not available, or what do you want to do from your perspective?
If I'm back by 5 o'clock next Tuesday, I'm away the week after, and after that I'll be okay.
All right. So let's leave it open to next week. So, so Malcolm, are you free next week? We'll do American Wealth in London.
I'm working next Tuesday, but I can definitely do it at work. Mondays are the only days that's a real problem for me.
Tuesday's fine. And then we'll have a gap until Marty's probably back, maybe, and we'll see how it goes.
Second week in April, yeah.
And then we could do Silo, perhaps. Then we would have seen that already.
Yeah.
So
Have you guys ever done Armageddon?
Bruce Willis film. I've seen it. I've not. We haven't, but I wouldn't mind checking it.
Okay. In a rotation. At some point.
Because in the end, it's I'm happy to do that. I'll give it a rewatch, definitely. All right. Let's put it in the actual list. I haven't seen that for ages, but then again, it's one of those things that sometimes you don't see for years, and then you give it a go and like, oh, actually, that's quite good. So all right, we'll put that. Yeah. So American Werewolf, Silo, Armageddon, and then we've got all the other new stuff coming on, so that'd be brilliant. Thank you, guys. We will see you next time on the Solo on Sci-Fi podcast. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into another deep dive. This time, we're going way back to 1981 and taking a look at the sci-fi film Outland.
Oh, Outland.
Yeah. And our source material for this one is, it's kind of interesting.
Right.
It's a podcast discussion with 3 friends who, it sounds like they just rewatched the film. And they're kind of dissecting it, talking about what works, what doesn't work, and why they think it might even deserve a spot in your collection.
I love it. That's always a good sign when people are like, yeah, this needs to be, this is a must-have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because on the surface, Outland might seem like a pretty straightforward kind of space western.
Okay.
You've got a sheriff fighting corruption on this mining outpost on Io, one of Jupiter's moons.
Yeah.
But listening to this podcast discussion, you start to see there's a lot more going on.
Oh, interesting.
They really dig into what makes Outland stand out from just your typical space opera.
And one thing that really struck me, reading through their discussion, was this idea of science fact that they kept coming back to.
Yeah, science fact.
Like Outland almost feels more interested in grounded realism and in, fantastical technology or, crazy alien encounters.
Yeah. Did you get that same sense from the source material?
Absolutely. The podcasters were really impressed with how the film focused on believable technology and practical effects. And even pointed to the set design as a prime example, especially the Io base.
Right.
It feels functional, almost industrial, which is so different from like the sleek, futuristic look we often see in other sci-fi films.
It's almost like they took like a gritty blue-collar town and just kind of dropped it right onto this alien moon.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of other films, the podcasters also brought up this really fascinating connection to Alien and Blade Runner. Yeah. They felt like Outland shared a similar visual style, particularly in the way it depicts these like isolated industrial environments.
Right. And remember, Outland sits right between those two films chronologically.
Oh, that's right.
It came out after Alien in 79, but before Blade Runner in 82.
Huh. Okay.
And the podcasters were even speculating, like, did they share sets?
Oh, wow.
Or were there design influences? Which, it happens in filmmaking.
Yeah, for sure.
They reuse props. They reuse sets.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating thought.
It makes you wonder if Outland's aesthetic had some kind of impact on those later films.
Right.
Or if maybe they were all just tapping into some similar visual language that was popular at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it really highlights how interconnected all these films can be, even across different directors and studios and everything.
It really does. And, going back to the science fact thing, it's not just about the visuals, right? The podcasters also talked about how the film portrays the actual challenges of living and working in space.
Right.
There's this constant sense of danger, isolation, and even simple tasks like going outside requires so much preparation and special equipment.
It makes you realize that surviving in space isn't always as glamorous as it's portrayed in the movies.
Right.
Yeah, it's a harsh environment, unforgiving, and even the smallest mistake can have huge consequences.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to the main character, Sheriff O'Neill, played by Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery.
And the podcasters, they were really impressed with his performance, but not because he's like, this invincible action hero.
Right.
It's almost the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
They found him more compelling because he's not your typical space cowboy,
Yeah.
He's dealing with burnout. He's facing pressure from this corrupt system. And he's just struggling to do what's right in this incredibly dangerous environment.
Yeah, they really appreciated how the film didn't shy away from showing his vulnerability.
Exactly. They even brought up a specific scene where he's confronting the antagonist.
Okay.
But he can barely stand. Like, it shows the toll this whole fight has taken on him.
Really humanizes him, right. Shows that even the toughest characters have their limits.
Absolutely. And speaking of limits, the podcasters were also intrigued by the film's countdown element.
Ah, yeah, the countdown.
With the assassins on their way and this deadline looming.
Right.
There's this constant tension.
Yeah.
As O'Neill races against time to expose the corruption and, protect himself.
Right. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Exactly. And they even suggested that this structure could actually translate really well into a modern TV series.
Oh, that's interesting.
They were saying that the episodic format could allow you to really dive deeper into all the different players.
Okay.
And the power dynamics.
Yeah.
With each episode building towards that inevitable showdown.
And with the popularity of all these like serialized shows these days, it's a pretty intriguing idea.
Right.
It's like each episode could represent another tick of the clock, ratcheting up the suspense.
Yeah.
And leaving the audience wondering, how's O'Neill going to get out of this one? But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
What else stood out to you about what the podcasters had to say?
Well, they spent a good chunk of time discussing the drug that's at the center of everything.
Ah, yes, the drug.
Remember, this is a performance-enhancing drug that's pushing the miners to work beyond their limits.
Yeah, and leading to some pretty serious consequences.
Exactly.
And it really struck me as a commentary on corporate greed.
Oh, for sure.
You know how far some companies are willing to go just to increase profits, even if it means putting their workers at risk?
And they even drew parallels to, today's world.
Oh, wow.
Arguing that while Outland is set in the future, the core themes are still very much relevant.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you question, are we really that far off from a world where corporations would prioritize profits over the safety and well-being of their employees?
That's a pretty unsettling thought.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something that Outland really forces us to confront.
Yeah. Right. And that's just part of what makes this film so compelling. So far, we've talked about the whole science fact element, the possible connection to other sci-fi films, and the strength of Sean Connery's performance.
Right.
But there's still so much more to explore.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive into the characters a little more, and the themes and just the unforgettable moments that have solidified Outland's place in sci-fi history.
Awesome. Well, we'll get into all of that in our next segment, so stick around.
Welcome back to our deep dive on Outland. It's interesting, those podcasters really got me thinking about how relevant some of the themes in the film feel, even today.
Yeah, it's like they were sending a warning from the past about the future or something.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's a futuristic setting, but it's also a cautionary tale about how power can play out in these isolated environments.
Right, like that mining outpost on Io.
Exactly. But Outland doesn't just present these issues in like a black and white way.
Right.
The characters are complex. Their motivations are kind of murky sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
What did you make of that doctor who helps O'Neill?
Oh, she's so interesting.
She is.
The podcasters picked up on her cynicism, but also her compassion. Like she's caught in this conflict, right? She's torn between her duty to her patients and her desire to help O'Neill.
It's like she's trying to do the right thing, but it's not always clear what that is.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder, like, what would you do in a situation like that? If you were in her shoes, would you risk your career, maybe even your life, to stand up to this huge corporation?
It's a tough question, and I think that's what makes good storytelling so powerful.
Yeah.
It makes you question your own values.
Right.
And consider how you would react under that kind of pressure.
And Outland does that not just through the characters, but through the setting itself.
Oh, absolutely.
That Io base, it's not just a backdrop, it's almost like a character in its own right.
Right. The podcasters talked about how the film captures this really industrial, lived-in feel of a real working mining colony.
Yeah, it's not sleek and futuristic like we see in some other films.
No, it's gritty, claustrophobic, almost oppressive.
Think about it, all those exposed pipes, the flickering lights, the cramped living quarters.
It feels like a place where people are just trying to survive, not thrive, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's such a stark contrast to that kind of romanticized view of space exploration we sometimes see in movies.
And that grittiness, that realism, it's also reflected in the action sequences.
Oh, absolutely. The podcasters brought up that scene where one of the assassins gets blown out of the airlock without his helmet on.
Oh, man, that scene is brutal.
It is, and it really drives home the point that in space, there is no room for error.
Yep.
The environment is just as dangerous as any human antagonist.
It's a good reminder that survival is a constant struggle, even for those who are supposed to be in control.
Exactly, and that brings us back to O'Neill.
Yeah.
He's fighting for his life, but he's also fighting for something bigger, right?
It's like he's trying to expose the truth, hold those in power accountable. It's that sense of justice, that refusal to back down, that makes him such a compelling hero.
You know, the podcasters compared him to those classic lone share figures we see in Westerns, like High Noon.
Oh, interesting.
Facing impossible odds, but determined to do what's right, even if it means standing alone.
I wonder if that's part of why Outland still resonates with audiences today.
Yeah.
We're still drawn to these stories about individuals standing up to injustice.
Yeah.
Even when it seems like a losing battle.
Right.
Maybe we need those reminders that one person can make a difference.
It's a powerful message, for sure, and one that comes through loud and clear in Outland.
Yeah, but the film doesn't offer easy answers either.
No, there's a real sense of ambiguity, especially at the end.
Right. O'Neill survives, but at what cost?
Yeah. And has he really changed anything in the long run?
Those are big questions. And it's not a simple happy ending.
No, not at all.
It leaves you thinking about what it really means to fight for what's right.
And the compromises you might have to make along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, we haven't talked much about the soundtrack.
Oh, the music, yeah.
Yeah.
The score by Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah.
That was interesting. The podcasters were actually a bit divided on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of them felt like the music wasn't quite up to Goldsmith's usual standards.
Okay.
While the others felt like it perfectly captured the film's atmosphere of tension and isolation.
Huh. Interesting.
What about you? What do you think?
I remember it being pretty atmospheric, especially during those scenes where O'Neill's like exploring those dark corners of the Io base.
Yeah.
It definitely added to the suspense, but before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one more scene I wanted to mention, that iconic scene where O'Neill has to go outside the base to fix that damaged antenna.
Oh, right.
And remember, he's completely exposed to space.
Yeah.
The only thing protecting him is his suit.
It's terrifying.
It is, and the podcasters were really impressed by how the film builds that suspense in that sequence. It's not just about the action, it's about that vulnerability of being alone in this huge, unforgiving environment.
They made a great point about how that scene really showcases the science fact element of the film.
Right.
You see all the steps O'Neill has to take to get ready for the spacewalk.
Uh-huh.
The checks, the double checks, the reliance on technology. just to keep him alive.
It's not like those space operas where people just float around without a worry.
Exactly. This is serious business.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in the future, space is still dangerous.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a challenge to be out there.
For sure.
Speaking of challenges, the podcasters spent a good amount of time talking about the ending of Outland.
Ah, the ending.
It's not your typical Hollywood happy ending, is it?
No, not really.
O'Neill exposes the corruption and he survives the assassins.
Right.
But it feels like a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah, he's lost friends, he's pushed himself to the limit.
Yeah.
And it's not even clear if anything will actually change.
Right. The podcasters debated whether the ending is optimistic or pessimistic.
That's a good question.
What did you think? Does O'Neill's fight really make a difference?
It's tough to say. It's a question that stays with you even after the movie's over.
Right.
I think it speaks to how complex the film is.
Yeah.
Outland doesn't give you easy answers.
No.
It leaves you with this feeling that the fight against corruption, against greed, it's never really over.
But there's also a glimmer of hope in O'Neill's resilience, right?
Oh, definitely.
That refusal to give up even when things are stacked against him.
Yeah, like maybe that's the message for us.
Yeah.
Even when it feels like powerful forces are winning, it's still worth fighting for what's right.
Even small acts of resistance can make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes Outland so powerful, so enduring.
Right.
It's more than just sci-fi.
Uh-huh.
It's a story about human nature, about good and evil,
Yeah.
about the choices we make when we're facing really tough situations.
So if you haven't seen Outland, hopefully this deep dive made you curious. It's a classic sci-fi film that still has something to say about the world we live in.
And if you have seen it,
Yeah.
maybe it's time for another watch.
Yeah.
See those nuances, those themes with fresh eyes.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
From the film's realism and the visuals to the characters and the themes.
Yeah, so much to unpack.
But there's always more to discover, right?
Oh, always.
More connections to make, more to learn.
That's the beauty of a good deep dive.
Exactly. It's not just about getting the information. It's about exploring it.
Asking questions.
Thinking about it.
Absolutely.
And connecting it to your own life.
Exactly.
So we leave you with this. What other classic sci-fi films deserve a deep dive?
Oh, that's a good one.
What stories from the past can help us understand our present, our future?
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
Until next time.
Turn it up loud, feel the beat. Walk speed, engines, slow the feet.